What is going on, guys? Noah Brewer here, back again with another video, and today we got a quickie. I'm going to be going over 5 niches that I avoid like the plague. Not really, but these are 5 niches that I've tested an extensive amount of products in and have never found a winning product. So up until this day, usually whenever I see a product in one of these categories or one of these niches, I just tend to avoid it. And the reason I'm making this video is because I've had students and clients and followers just commenting and DMing me on what types of products they should be testing and what niches should they go for, what niches should they avoid. So this has came up quite a few times, and I figured, hey, if everybody's asking about it, it must be something valuable that people want to know. So that's why I'm making this video. So before I get into the actual 5 niches, I want to go over how I actually came to these conclusions and what kind of makes me qualified to say that these niches are not the best or whatever, because I know some of it's a little bit controversial, but we'll get into that in a minute. Now, one thing that I want you to understand about me before listening to my opinions on what niches you should be testing and which ones you shouldn't, is that I've tested a fuck ton of products. And I don't mean tested products on my own store. If you don't know, I have a marketing agency, and I've also done a lot of consulting, helping other people's with their stores, working with them one-on-one, helping them select products, and then looking at their product tests, analyzing their product tests. Not to get into specific numbers, but there was a 1.5 year period where I had 40 students. I was doing 2 calls a week with every single one of them, and most of them were testing 2 to 3 products a week. So you can do the math on how many product tests per week that is, and every single one of those product tests I saw, I basically selected the product, reviewed the store build, reviewed the way that the campaign was set up, and then analyzed it once it went through. These are not just students that just did something on their own. No, I was basically holding their hand and walking them through and looking over everything that they were doing. So just with my mentoring experience alone, I've overseen thousands and thousands of product tests in many, many different niches, which is part of the reason I feel like I've become so adept to, avoid certain niches, which we'll talk about in this video. And then not to mention the done for you side of my agency, where we've pretty much tested 100 products a week or more for the last 2 years straight. So I've pretty much overseen those as well. I mean, not as closely because I have ad buyers that overlook them, but obviously I overlook the ad buyers. So I've literally reviewed thousands and thousands of product tests over the years. And, like I said, many different niches, many different whatever. I've seen lots and lots of losing products and lots of winning products, of many different varieties, right? Like products that have only lost, $100, whatever, we just move on and never do it again. I've had certain products that I really, really believe in that I lose $1,000 on. And then there's other products that, maybe it does like 10K in sales or 20K in sales. And then I've seen every single product on a broad spectrum, anywhere from, a $10,000 winner all the way up to a winner that ended up doing $4 million in just 4 months of scaling it. I've overseen the testing process and the scaling process for all these winners. And when I say thousands of tests and hundreds of winners, I am not exaggerating. And need I say that I am not the owner of these stores. I'm kind of in a unique situation where, yes, I'm overlooking them, but I'm not the owner. So that's how I've been able to, kind of overview and gain the experience from all these different scales and all these different product tests over the years. So in the next 5 niches that I'm about to list, the niches that I avoid, I can confidently say that in every single niche, I have tested a minimum of at least 100 products in each niche with very little or no success in any of the niches that I'm about to talk about. Now, there is one of them where I've actually seen a lot of success in, and it's not a niche that I avoid, but it's a niche that I attack from a very unique angle that most people wouldn't attack it from, which is why I'm adding it on this list, because I wouldn't treat it like a normal dropshipping niche. I treat it like it's its own thing, and we'll get into that, of course. And by nature, if you were me and you tested, 150 products in this specific niche, and you didn't have a single winning product, or maybe you did have a winning product, but it only did like 20K in sales or no real notable numbers, would you keep testing products in that category? Probably not. And that's pretty much the angle that I'm coming from with this, which is like these niches have just let me down over and over and over again. And yes, of course, I see new products in the niche and I'm like, oh, this could be really, really good. And then sure enough, I test it and the niche continues to disappoint me. So of course, by nature, I just naturally avoid these niches. So I am not saying that these niches cannot make you money and it's impossible to find winners here. I'm just speaking from, what I've personally seen and my personal experiences and the niches that I personally avoid based on my own experience. Obviously, you're gonna have your own experiences and your own opinions on this, which is fine. And some of these are controversial, and I know some people that would just straight up disagree with me, right? Like one of these specifically, which is the first one that we'll get into, I know at least, 10 to 15 people that would look at me and say, Noah, you're a fucking idiot. That niche is amazing. And me personally, I don't know if it's just me or whatever, but I've never seen success in it, and I've tested so many products in that niche. We'll get into it, but that is one of the things that I wanted to talk about. I've seen what I've seen, and I believe what I believe, and I go on what I see. So you don't have to agree with me. I just want you to understand that this is what I've seen, and a lot of you, value my opinion and want to see what I see. So let's get right into it. So number one, probably the most controversial one, the fishing niche. Yes, I said it. I avoid the fishing niche, and the reason is literally just because I've tested so many fishing products, and yes, I do have to admit there's a lot of fishing products out there that are really, really good, and I still see them to this day. Like a new fishing product pops up every month or two that's like brand new and nobody's ever seen it before, and it's really fucking good and it solves a really good problem and whatever, and it's constantly trying to bring me back in, right? Like it's constantly trying to bring me into the circle of like, oh shit, this is a really good product, but it's in the fishing niche. Maybe I'll make an exception and test it. 99% chance I'm gonna be disappointed, but sometimes I do kind of go back into testing in this niche because, like I said, good products pop up in it and I just get tempted to test them. But I am saying I also avoid this niche. Like I know that if I test a product in the fishing niche, 99.9% chance it's not gonna work out. So I thought it was worthy of adding to this list. Number two, toys. Toys for kids or even toys for teenagers. Now, same reason, like I've tested a ton of different toys, and yes, I have seen a little bit of success with different toys, but all in all, not really. Like the amount of winning products that I've had from toys is probably like 2 or 3, and the amount of products that I've tested that are toys, probably in the multi-hundreds, like 300, 400 range. From the little fidget things, from this and that. And honestly, the winners that I did find in the toy niche never ended up making significant money, like under $100,000 stores, nothing really notable. So I thought it would be worth adding to this list. Whenever I see a toy, instant skeptic. Like I'm like, this probably isn't gonna work. Sometimes I'll kind of dive back and test it if I see a good toy or something that's unique or special enough. But most of the time, I'm probably just not gonna test it if it's a toy. Number 3, the baby niche. Yes, I know a lot of you people would disagree with this one as well because obviously there's been lots of baby niche winning products out there, products that are winners for babies. And one thing I will say is that this niche has always been sketchy to me, especially when you get into, baby seats or baby carriers or, the things that the babies would put in their mouth. Like the idea of drop shipping those items never really made me feel good. And I have heard horror stories of, these drop shipping products not working and ending up injuring a baby and ending up in a lawsuit, many different things that can happen. But let's say you didn't care about that and you're okay with the liability of it. I've also tested a lot of baby products and literally never had a single winning product. Like I think there was one baby product that I had work out and I maybe did 30 to 40K in sales with very little profits. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Like I know a lot of you guys, even some of my personal close friends, have scaled to millions of dollars with the baby products. But me personally, like I've tested so many fucking baby products and I've never really popped a winner or seen any notable results from it. So, similar to the fishing niche, like maybe it's just me, maybe it's just the way that I do things. But keep in mind also my students and things like that, I've never seen anybody have success in the baby niche aside from like personal friends or whatever. So just another niche that I avoid for one reason or another. Number 4, the kitchen niche. Yes, I know everybody wants to sell the mandolin, the fucking things that cut the potatoes into perfect strips, but personally I don't really like testing in the kitchen niche, and the reason is obviously not for liability or anything like that. I have had one notable winning product in the kitchen niche. One notable, and what I mean by that is it did like $700,000 in sales in a very short amount of time, and I think it was a fluke. Like that's literally the only notable product that I've ever had make any significant amount of money in the kitchen niche. A lot of the kitchen niche products are low ticket. This particular one was not, which is one of the reasons that I decided to test it. So I will say that I don't 100% fully avoid this one. Like if a really good product comes around and the margins are right and it's not something that's super saturated and it's not a fucking mandolin, because every drop shipper tries to sell a mandolin at some point in their career. Brewer. If you don't know what that is, it's the thing that like you swipe the tomatoes on and it like cuts it into a perfect slice, right? Everybody tries to sell those stupid things. Then I will dive into the kitchen niche here and there. So it's not a fully wasted niche. Like, I don't think it's fully avoidable. Like I said, I did have, you know, a single notable winning product in the niche, so maybe it is worth doing. But all in all, if it's a kitchen product, there's like a 90% chance that I'm not gonna test it, and I'm probably just gonna skip over it and go into something else. Now, earlier in this video, I talked about one category that I definitely do not avoid, but I treat it very, very differently than any other category. And I think this will be very interesting to you guys and really valuable for you guys, because if you're trying to test products with dropshipping in the traditional sense, do not do it with these certain types of products. And number 5 is gonna be design products. Any product that has essentially zero functionality and strictly relies on the design of it to sell, such as shoes, clothing, home decor, like anything that doesn't really have a function, or if it's very known, like a light bulb, right? Like, there are some fucking cool light bulbs out there, but if all you're selling is a light bulb, then pretty much the only thing you have going for it is the design. Or a pair of shoes, right? Like, most shoes do the same. The only exceptions with shoes is like the indestructible shoes, or you have shoes with like built-in soles. You know, like if it has a function, it's different, but if it's just a pair of sneakers, the only thing differentiating it is the design. So one thing I will say is I have had a lot of success with shoes, clothes, and home decor. As you may see if you've watched the videos on my channel, I've exposed plenty of the products I've taken to multi-6 figures, 7 figures have been home decor, shoes. So I've had a fuck ton of success with design products. However, I just wanted to put it in this list because you have to treat them differently. And what I mean by this is when you're testing design related products, you're not really testing products like in the way that we would traditionally do it. What you're doing is you're testing designs. So if your goal is to find a winning product that's a shoe, you're not gonna wanna just find like one shoe and just test one shoe, because that would be as close to gambling as it comes, right? Like, you're pretty much just throwing a design out there like, oh, I think people would like this design, throwing it out there and seeing how people react to it. I think if you wanted to test inside of this niche correctly, the way to do it is to, for example, find 20 shoes that you think could work and then test all 20 of them. And then from that point, you're basically committing to testing shoes or clothing or home decor. You're committing to that one product and finding a design that sells good inside of that one product. Because if you're just testing a single shoe, you're testing something that is strictly based on the design. You know, how good it's gonna sell is strictly based on the design, and you're only gonna do one of them. You're not really giving yourself a fair shot at finding a winning product if you're just testing a shoe with one design. So the reason I put it on the list to avoid is because most scenarios with a new store, I'm not gonna be like, all right, I'm only gonna test shoes on this store, or I'm only gonna test clothing, or I'm only gonna test the home decor. I like to not really limit myself to a particular niche. So this one I most of the time would avoid. Like, I wouldn't really go, it's not like my go-to to test design related products, but I do know some people where it is their go-to and they really, really crush it, right? Like with home decor, shoes, clothing, whatever it is, they'll just stick to testing inside of that lane, and eventually they'll find a design that sells really, really well. But if you're testing a wide variety of products and you just want to throw a shoe in there or throw a piece of clothing in there here and there, I probably wouldn't really recommend doing it, because you're only giving yourself one design, and if that one design doesn't work, then you're basically screwed. And I can speak from experience that most of the time, one design is not going to work. Like, the only time that I've had success with shoes, clothing, or home decor, I've committed to testing, 5+ of a certain shoe, or 5+ designs of a certain home decor product or whatever. That way you're actually giving the product a good chance, and you're testing out a good amount of varieties and designs for that particular product. So definitely not one to fully avoid, but something to keep in mind when you're testing products, that you should treat these very, very differently than you would with a normal dropshipping product. Now, I have a question for you. What niches do you personally avoid, and why do you avoid them? And what niches do you actually go for? Like, when you see a product, like, what do you get really excited about? Because for me, it's sports and hobbies. Like, if I see a product that is related to a hobby that has a large group of people that are passionate about it, I get really excited and I get butterflies in my stomach, and I'm super excited to test the product, because honestly, over my whole career, I have had the most success with, sports and hobbies, like that kind of category, which there's a ton of subcategories underneath hobbies, by the way, so that could really mean anything. You know what I mean though. But what really excites you, what really scares you, let me know in the comment section down below. And if you have any video ideas, let me know. If this video is valuable for you, leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. This is Noah Brewer, and I'm out. Peace.